Aurora's mayor is threatening to shut off water to the city's schools, saying they're not doing their part in this drought.
Our ultimate goal is for everybody across the entire system to be doing their part.
What's Xcel Energy doing threatening to shut off people's power in the middle of the heat wave?
They went around the corner and shut off the power, which is pretty much a strong arm tactic.
Longmont is asking people to redesign its old flag, which is how many people found out that Longmont has a flag. And together, let's help the hundreds of Coloradans who lost their homes in the Aspen Acres fire. Tonight on Next. Aurora's mayor is threatening to shut off the water to Aurora's public schools. Mayor Mike Coffman says he can tell by the look of the grass on school lawns that the school district is defying drought restrictions. Can a mayor turn off the water to every school in a city? Our Spencer Soisher wades in.
Some people may drive past Rangeview High School and think their landscapers are Coors Field level good. The lines are crisp, the grass mowed to perfection, much of it green. When Aurora Mayor Mike Coffman drove by, he had a different thought. The mayor wrote on Facebook Tuesday that he's ready to turn off the water at Aurora Public Schools. He says he drove by Rangeview and 6 other APS schools, and they all had green lawns. Coffman said APS is ignoring Aurora's Stage 1 drought restrictions, which encourage large users to reduce usage by 20%. He said he then drove to schools in the Cherry Creek School District, Overland High School, and Prairie Middle School. Coffman said he could see they were, quote, clearly complying.
I think it's really important that we provide some clarity to that.
Shawnee Klein is with Aurora Water. We asked the mayor about his claims today. His team said he was unavailable. But Aurora Water says it's true that 9 of APS's 61 schools are using too much water, including Rangeview.
They're over it by 107%. So there's definitely something going on there.
The mayor said in his post that Aurora Public Schools has been paying fines for not complying. Not accurate, says APS and Aurora Water.
No, they have not received any fines at all.
Klein says the school district is paying a surcharge, like any large user over the limit.
We gave him some numbers, and I think he misunderstood the numbers that we gave him as being fines and violations, as opposed to what we were really talking about, which was drought surcharges.
What about the part about the Cherry Creek schools doing their part, while Aurora is not? Klein says that's true. It's APS who's got schools using too much water.
They definitely need to change what they are doing because they are not meeting watering restriction requirements for those 9 sites.
Aurora Public Schools did not accept our interview request. The district said again that it's following the water plan approved by Aurora Water, and they don't know of any violations. So I took a piece of grass from the 3 schools I went to today. Kyle, I want to know if you have the same skills that Mayor Coffman does.
Okay.
So
you stole grass from the schools.
It was borrowing.
Okay, yep.
So that's our first place.
Yep, just looks like grass to me.
Second.
Yep. Oh, that's crispy. Number 2 is crispy.
And this is number 3. So I want to know if you have the skills that Mayor Coffman does. 2 of these are okay. 1 of these is not.
One of them is not. I don't know. Number 3 looks like it might be a little on the lush side, right? There's some clover in there. It's looking a little lush.
Yep.
Number two is dry as a cracker. That's probably what the mayor wants to see. And then 1 is questionable. So if I had to pick, I would say the mayor likes 1 and 2, and he thinks that 3 is a golf course.
He actually thinks that 1 is a golf course.
Which school is that?
This is.
Well, dang it, Spencer.
Wait, this is Rangeview.
Okay.
This is what he liked at Overland High School.
Yeah.
That seems like a fire starter.
That's a fire hazard, yeah.
I'll leave that for you. Mini wheats, as my mom used to give me when I was little. This was actually from one of the middle schools that he said wasn't so good, but they had a nice spot.
Okay. Well, if you live in Aurora and you saw a weird guy in dress clothes stealing grass from a school today, it was Spencer Soisher doing journalism. Thank you, Spencer. Fort Morgan. Poor city's getting wrecked by the Cargill lockout there. That small city on the Eastern Plains is preparing for budget cuts and layoffs after its largest employer told hundreds of employees they can't come to work anymore. The Cargill beef processing plant in Fort Morgan locked out at 1,700 employees back in May. Labor union says they've been negotiating for raises. The city of 12,000 people relies heavily on the plant as an economic driver. Fort Morgan city manager says he's preparing for a worst-case scenario. He told city council every department needs to prepare for a 15% budget cut.
Have to anticipate that Cargill may not reopen that facility. The last thing I want to be known as is the city manager that ran the city of Fort Morgan into bankruptcy because he didn't make the necessary decisions quickly enough.
So, City of Fort Morgan has also announced a hiring freeze. Fort Morgan leaders have made it clear they want to see this plant reopen. They want the situation resolved, but there's currently no timeline for contract negotiations, and Cargill has not responded to our questions. Firefighters are still holding the line against the enormous Aspen Acres fire in Pueblo and Custer counties. It's burned about 96,000 acres and is about 15% contained. Not much movement there. Rain in the area tonight could help, but it also might cause flooding and landslides in areas that just burned. The Pueblo County Sheriff's Office released new drone footage of damage in and around the town of Beulah. Nearly 200 homes have been destroyed in that area, and the damage survey is still ongoing. Another 83 homes burned in Custer County. Here's the deal. When folks are in trouble in Colorado, we don't just watch. So let's help those hundreds of Coloradans who lost their homes. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign will support the Southern Colorado Wildfire Relief Fund. It's a project of United Way Southern Colorado, which also raced to set up a donation center for immediate needs. So folks forced from their homes are able to come in and just take whatever they need: food, water, clothes, phone chargers, the list goes on. The Southern Colorado Wildfire Relief Fund is going to help the hundreds of families who lost their homes with those immediate needs, but it also is going to be there for long-term issues, like folks who don't have insurance to cover rebuilding and other community needs. United Way Southern Colorado is not taking any fees or overhead costs for organizing this big effort. When I reached out to them in Pueblo and said I knew a bunch of people, many of them in the Denver metro area, who would help with this, they were surprised. Way down here? But for folks, for years, you have generously helped Coloradans who have lost it all in every corner of this state. So I told them that help is on the way. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. Even $5 helps. And you know the deal. I'm never going to ask you to give if I don't give myself, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. More than 8,000 of you are signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You put in your info one time, pick a donation amount of your choice, and every month that donation's automatically split among each nonprofit we feature. And that's added nearly $50,000 to each recent weekly campaign. So the Aspen Acres fire is the most destructive in the state right now. It's one of several fires burning in the state at the moment. We're watching the Ferris fire in Dolores and Montezuma counties in southwestern Colorado. This afternoon, the governor declared a disaster emergency down there. That fire has burned more than 57,000 acres and is just 19% contained. Wildland crews are making steady progress on the Willow fire burning near Leadville. It's gone through more than 4,300 acres. Crews have got 16% containment on the perimeter. It is quite literally an uphill battle. The steep and rocky terrain of the Mount Massive Wilderness area is making that firefighting effort tough. More than 1.5 million Xcel customers have received those new smart meters. The vast majority of those switchovers happened without much fanfare. And then there are the select few customers who tell us they feel bullied to either accept the meter they thought that they had opted out of or lose power entirely. And with temperatures recently in the 90s, our Marshall Zellinger looked into whether Xcel can cut power on days when AC is essential.
Dad's 1 cup, 2 cup.
You don't need electricity to entertain an infant, but eventually you'll need it to keep her safe and healthy.
I get a distress call from my wife while I'm at the office that our power is being shut off.
Alex Ruggles and his daughter Jasmine have a new smart meter behind them, one that Dad did not want.
Let's go with Xcel Energy here to swap out your meter.
When Xcel showed up to their Lakewood home, Alex's wife refused the smart meter. But this visit, like so many others we've told you about, is when Xcel believes all previous notices and warnings to the customer have been ignored.
Either you take the meter or we turn your power off. Those are your two options.
You can call your supervisor and I'll talk to them, but no.
We're not calling anybody.
We opted out from the smart meter when we first moved in 2022.
Is this an opt-out address? No, you haven't. You haven't.
We have seen an increase in disconnections. I think the correlation is strongly connected to the introduction of smart meters.
Andrew Bennett with Energy Outreach Colorado was part of new rulemaking after COVID about when utility companies could shut someone's power off.
We were having rules about extreme heat and at what temperatures should we not disconnect people when it gets above that temperature.
The rules are, if in the morning the National Weather Service predicts a temperature hotter than 95 degrees or colder than 32 degrees, a customer's power cannot be shut off that day. Yesterday's prediction near Alex's house was 92. According to Chris Bianchi, the temperature eventually hit between 94 and 97.
Thank you.
Alex's justification for not wanting the smart meter was the simplest we've heard so far.
It's just one more piece of electronics on our property not controlled by us. And the more dumb devices we have on our property, I think the more secure we are.
I look back at the documents from 2020 and 2021 when the temperature rules were being created. Xcel actually argued for a 0-degree threshold on the low end instead of 32. And then instead of 95 degrees on the hot end, Xcel thought it should be when the National Weather Service issues a heat advisory, which takes into account heat and humidity. But state regulators chose 32 degrees and 95, so Kyle, apparently 33 degrees and 94 are perfectly safe for temperatures to have your power shut off.
I mean, I guess you got to draw the line somewhere, but right, if it's 20 degrees and they're shutting off your power, or 92 degrees and they're shutting off your power, that's brutal.
Yeah, and it's not based on health and safety, I don't believe, but yes, there's got to be some calculation of when can you tell a customer, okay, now it's time to start paying, we can't just let you keep doing this, and that has to be at some uncomfortable range.
Yep, Marshall Zellinger, thank you. Denver's public school superintendent tries and fails again to leave his job, leaving the school board to fix a broken relationship with a leader who clearly wants out.
I kind of wish it could be a bit more exciting. In my opinion, it kind of looks pretty dull right now.
Longmont is asking for help redesigning the city's flag, which actually is not that bad looking if you take out the part that looks like a crack pipe. Think about it, millions of Americans have probably walked back into work on a Monday after publicly declaring in some form or another that they wanted to leave that job, but then everybody saw they didn't get the gig that they wanted. Like Senator Michael Bennet, who has to go back to Washington after not being elected governor. And now Denver School Superintendent Alex Marrero. He just lost out on the superintendent job in Miami, and he has to go back to work in a pretty tense relationship with the school board in Denver. He was publicly named as an applicant for the superintendent gig in Miami last month, but did not make the round of 6 semifinalists this week. Miami's board didn't like Marrero's lack of classroom teaching experience. It is the second superintendent job outside of Denver where Marrero has tried and failed to get out of Dodge. Also lost out on a gig to lead Chicago's public schools last year. Marrero says he is still fully committed to Denver, just like he is fully committed to his job search elsewhere. And the job is going to require a lot of focus over the next few months. He has big issues with the school board. In a recent email, he claimed the board overstepped its authority, refused to undergo self-assessments, and was trying to exclude him from closed-door executive sessions. Marrero says the issues are violations of his contract. The board's meeting later this month to address some of those concerns.
A good day today. We woke up to blue skies, less smoke and haze, no air quality alerts, and for many of us, rain. And that rain is still coming down across parts of the state today. Temperatures back in the low 90s for Denver, triple-digit highs in southeastern Colorado. But the smoke with that wind shift that we advertise, well, a lot of it pushing south and east away from the area. So the air quality alerts scaled back to those large fire zones. And we'll continue with those air quality alerts for a while. We're also tracking severe weather with a severe thunderstorm watch east of Denver until 8 o'clock tonight. Concerns for flooding in the Aspen Acres burn scar. A flash flood watch. Yes, we're happy about the rain, but a flash flood warning means they're getting too much on that burn scar, and the debris flow and mudslide potential is something that has fire managers concerned. Also tracking severe weather through Adams and Arapahoe counties up into the Logan County areas. We saw some torrential rain, but also wind gusts in excess of 70 miles per hour with these thunderstorms, and still the potential for hail in and around Sterling and Peets with a severe thunderstorm warning there. This is the area we'll be focused on throughout the evening for hail-producing thunderstorms, and we have a really comfortable temperature trend for you for the next few hours ahead of a nice day tomorrow with a chance for more rain showers, and then we launch into the heat dome over the weekend with highs near 100 degrees and possible heat advisories on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week.
The city of Longmont is looking for a modern-day Betsy Ross, somebody who is willing to redesign the city's flag. I actually think it looks pretty nice. That's next. The city of Longmont is looking to ditch its flag for a new design. It's actually a really good-looking flag, except for the one part that looks like a crack pipe. Our Amy Hunter was far too polite to say that as she talked to folks in Longmont about the redesign.
No, I didn't know there was a flag.
It's a common sentiment around Longmont.
You showed it to me. It was the first time I had seen it.
Never even seen it, so this is my first time, but...
An unknown flag with a design open to interpretation.
Like picture frames or Olympics. Somehow Olympics is coming up, but I don't even know where I would get that.
There's an L and an O, so yeah, Longmont.
It could also look like kind of a modern flashlight.
Sean McCoy, the vice mayor of Longmont, knows exactly what each shape means.
And you can see the L in red, the C in white, and the blue representing 3 colors of the American flag.
It's pretty good. I'm a barber, so I like those colors, you know, blue, white, and red.
Not everyone agrees with Diego.
Yeah, it looked really dated.
Kind of wish it could be a bit more exciting. In my opinion, it kind of looks pretty dull right now.
Lucky for Henry, this design from the 70s might get the boot.
The city of Longmont has put out a call for participants for folks living in Longmont interested in submitting a new design for a new flag for Longmont.
As a city employee, Angela Brill knows the flag can be hard to find.
Well, we have one at the museum and we have one here at City Council. It wasn't prominently on display.
The updated flag will get a prime spot to fly.
When the new flag design comes forward as an adopted, we'll have a third flagpole for all 3 flags.
Ideas are already flowing.
Perhaps something reflecting community.
My first thought goes to nature.
The sugar mill. The sugar mill screams Longmont to me.
Whatever it may hold, the people of Longmont have one simple request.
Maybe just a little bit more representation of Longmont so people can actually know it's a Longmont flag, you know, that'd be cool.
For Next, I'm Amy Hunter.
Longmontites, Longmontonians will have 4 choices. One will be the existing flag, which again, if you smooth out the little white C part, is actually quite slick. And then there will be 3 new designs. So designs can only come from people who live in Longmont, and they have to be submitted by July 20th. Brooke has your feedback. We will have it for you right after this. Thank you much. You have raised $58,000 and counting to help the Coloradans who have lost their homes or were otherwise impacted by the devastating Aspen Acres fire in southern Colorado. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of others in donating. It's the 7th largest fire in Colorado history and has destroyed more than 250 homes. United Way of Southern Colorado is running this fund without fees or overhead to meet both the immediate needs and to be there for the long haul for the families who have lost their homes. Thank you for your incredible generosity. A note tonight from Casey via email who writes, I think the Denver School Board should help the superintendent with his problem of not liking his job. They should fire him. Well, that's where it gets tricky, right? Because he's got a contract and he claims that the school board is already breaching the contract through some of what they're doing. So if they're about to fire this guy, unless they want to fast train to litigation city, they have to fire him for cause. And they can't just write, cause you want to leave. It's got to be more than that. There's got to be more to it. Julie writes in to say that it is not Longmontians or what was the other word that I said? She said it's Longtuckians, which I don't think is true. I think you're trolling people because, Julie, you're from Parker, so I don't think that's true. What are people from Longmont called? See you next time.